You're going to be making a copy? There's this nice camera right here.
Sure.
You're going to do number 2.
Okay. Thank you.
It'll move less because it's on a stand. Besides, I'm camera shy. It's, 2 cameras is too much. I'd like to read something from Srimad Bhagavatam, a very detailed, informative purport written by Srila Prabhupada. This is from Canto 2, Chapter 3. You want to look it up later, it's text 22. This is Shukadeva Goswami. A whole series of verses describing the position of a detached person. Detached means attached to Krishna, not just detached from the world. So the focus is absorption in the personality of Godhead. Chapter 2 follows chapter 1. Okay. And chapter 1 is progression. It is describing formation of a conception of God for people that don't have one, seeing God within nature, or Virat Rupa, and then maturing from that position, seeing God within, specifically the details of the Paramatma feature and the process of meditation. But to fix one's mind on transcendence within the heart or in the Bhagavan feature of Krishna, of necessity there must also be some worldly detachment. That is, absorption in finding happiness through the senses, meeting the sense objects and finding some pleasure. As long as one is hankering and the mind then goes to where the desire is, to the temporary, it's not possible to become absorbed in transcendence. So both are required. Wanting to go to Krishna and a sense of detachment from temporary hankerings. So that's the section this is from. And he's describing, Shukadeva Goswami is describing the use of the eyes and the legs and the hands and the limbs of the body to serve the personality of Godhead. It starts, the eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead Vishnu are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock. So the Sanskrit word is lingani. Lingani is forms. Prabhupada takes that to indicate the deity form. So here's several paragraphs. Especially for the householder devotees, the path of deity worship is strongly recommended. As far as possible, every householder, by the direction of the spiritual master, must install the deity of Vishnu, forms like Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, or Sitaram especially, or any other form of the Lord like Nrsimha, Varaha, Gornitai, Matsya, Kurma, Shalagram, Shila, and many other forms of Vishnu, like, long list, Trivikram, Keshava, Achyuta, Vasudeva, Narayana, and Damodar, as recommended in the Vaishnava Tantras and Puranas. And one's family should worship strictly following the directions and regulations of Archana Vidhi. That was one sentence. Archana means deity worship, and Vidhi means the regulations. So the regulations, or the recommendation, the prescriptions, how to do worship, the vidhis of how to do worship, should be carefully followed. And then where does one find that source of information is also presented. Here's an interesting one. Any member of the family who is above 12 years of age should be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, and all the members of the household should be engaged in daily service of the Lord, beginning from morning, parentheses, 4 a.m. till night, parentheses, 10 p.m. No work, no school. Deity worship. By performing Mangala Aratik, Niranjana, Archana, Puja, Kirtan, Shringara, Bhoga, Vaikali, Sandhya Aratik, Hatha, Bhoga, Shayana Arti, etc. Engagement in such worship of the deity under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master will greatly help the householders to purify their very existence and make rapid progress in spiritual knowledge. Simple theoretical book knowledge is not sufficient for a neophyte devotee. Book knowledge is theoretical, whereas archana process is practical. Spiritual knowledge must be developed by a combination of theoretical and practical knowledge, and that is the guaranteed way for attainment of spiritual perfection. The training of devotional service for a neophyte devotee completely depends on the expert spiritual master who knows how to lead his disciple to make gradual progress towards the path back home, back to Godhead. There's some descriptions about qualifications of a spiritual master, naturally, because he's emphasized it already 3 times. Then he goes on to deity worship again. Shri Vigraha is the archa, or suitable worshipable form of the Lord. And the disciple should be engaged in worshiping the deity regularly by Shringara, by proper decoration and dressing, and also by Mandira Marjana, the matter of cleansing the temple. The spiritual master teaches the neophyte devotee all these, kindly and personally, to help him gradually in the realization of the transcendental name, quality, form, etc. of the Lord. Pretty comprehensive, huh? There's more. One purport. Only attention engaged in the service of the Lord, especially in dressing and decorating the temple, accompanied by musical kirtan and spiritual instructions from scriptures, can save the common man from the hellish cinema attractions and rubbish sex songs broadcast everywhere by radios and now so many other media. If one is unable to maintain a temple at home, he should go to another's temple where all the above performances are regularly executed. Visiting the temple of a devotee and looking at the profusely decorated forms of the Lord, well-dressed in a well-decorated, sanctified temple, naturally infuse the mundane mind with spiritual inspiration. And then he speaks about the legs, going to pilgrimage places, etc. It's the eyes and then the legs. According to Romapada Swami, there are 5 primary activities that assist in awakening bhakti. Deity worship is one of those 5. Chanting the holy name, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, serving the devotees of the Lord, and residing in a sacred place. 5 most powerful, potent forms of bhakti. So, deity worship is being recommended here, obviously very strongly, but it comes after the prior activities of hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam. These are processes of bhakti found in scripture and so forth. 9 primary processes of bhakti. So Archana follows after one has become strongly, significantly purified by the hearing and chanting process. Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. But the hearing and chanting, ideally, is followed by the other, remembrance and deity worship. Particularly, the worship of Purnatai deities is recommended. There was a period of time, just some history, the Hare Krishna movement history, where some of the devotees, when Prabhupada started taking the European and American devotees with him back to India to start what he was calling a world Sankirtan party. He had this idea that some of the strongest senior devotees that he had attracted to Krishna Bhakti, that they would gather together and start in India and then go all over the world and do what Lord Chaitanya said, every town and village, chanting of the holy name. So, inspired by that World Sankirtan Party program, some of the devotees got a bright idea, and it was a bright idea. They purchased some Mercedes-Benz big buses, like vans, passenger vans, 4 of them, and drove them all the way from Germany through the Middle East to India, with the plan that they would then deck out those buses or vans with a traveling Sankirtan paraphernalia, with movie projector. That at the time it was a Fairchild projector. That was the technology of the era. And ISKCON TV had produced some videos of Prabhupada. It turned out that was the big hit. even more so than the kirtan and the lecture and some cultural performance on stage. The thing that really attracted people was technology. Little simple Fairchild projector projecting onto a screen, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every night. Big program. And massive book distribution and prasadam distribution. And then traveling all over India doing that. Prabhupada's comment too, he said, I had a vision there would be 100 such buses traveling all over India. Like, thank you for getting it started, now please expand it. That was always Prabhupada's move is, what's next? And then he also said, your book scores are very wonderful. In addition, you can have Gauratai deities and put them on your book table, and people can be instructed to worship Gauratai, because Gauratai are very merciful. They're very merciful. Doesn't mean because they're merciful we're negligent, but even people that don't know, they haven't had the purification of Shravanam Kirtanam, Prabhupada authorized, and specifically pointing to the merciful nature of Gauratai. But for our household community, there is a deity worship ministry. It's such an important element that along with the book distribution ministry, there's a deity worship ministry. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a global deity worship minister, and in North America, there's a North American deity worship minister. And he is available for consultation to make sure that deity standards in temples are maintained. And there's all kinds of procedures. Before a temple installs deities, there must be a certificate of readiness approved by the deity worship ministry. And they have, it's not like a super high bar, but it's a pretty high bar for worship before installing deities. They have procedures that are recommended for household worship of deities, available on the website, but also by consultation with the deity worship minister. In other words, what I'm trying to express is, there's this liberal side and there's this maintain the standard side. The nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most merciful. And it's really easy to elaborate on the mercifulness of the most merciful Lord Chaitanya. He exhibited pastimes to show the world what is otherwise highly confidential. The intimacy of the attraction of the gopis, and particularly Radharani, for Krishna, and the mood, the intense mood of love that even Uddhava found so amazing that he wanted to just go to Vrindavan and undergo austerity and become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, to have the opportunity to have the gopis step on him, or dust from their feet fly in the air and land on this blade of grass body so he'd be benedicted by them. So amazed. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as confidential as all of that was and is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the world is that same mood of love. Of course, in the role of a sannyasi devotee of Krishna, but Krishna himself demonstrating. So, most merciful. Yet when it comes to deity worship, that mercifulness needs to be according to some standards and guidelines. mentioned in the purport and just mentioned our deity worship ministry. You just go ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry and find their webpage. You want to know what are the standards that you should have in your home for deity worship. It's right there. For Radha Krishna, for Gauratai. Minimum standards. And of course one can expand. Well, let us say 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. But some minimum standard that should be met when in your home, when having deities in your home. Certainly by inviting, as has been done here, maybe some of you know, but it's been a big production for this family to have Gauratai come. It's been, I don't know, almost a year of like rah-rah, of preparing and arranging and anticipating and more rah-rah and very, very absorbed and dedicated to receiving the deity, and I'm sure that procedures following the worship of the deity will be very nice and beneficial for the whole family. Ideal in household worship, as mentioned, that all the members of the family have some service. And daily, even if it's something really simple, like changing the water, or offering a flower, or something, every day. And it's ideal if the family can come together, morning or evening, or morning and evening, come together and simple arti, worship the deity together, hold kirtan. The singing is for the pleasure of the deity. The singing isn't just musical enjoyment. It's part of the service to the deity. Essential part of the service to the deity. And that's the mood, that whatever it is that we do in our home, for the pleasure of the deity. Therefore, having the deity in a prominent place. Sometimes I've seen in homes the deity is in a closet, literally, or some remote place. And that's not, closet isn't nice, but some remote place is a dedicated room. But ideal is in a public part of the home, where every day one sees and passing by the deity, paying obeisances, and etc. Centering the whole household activity around deity worship. And again, even simple things. Whatever food is taken by the family members, it's proper, say it otherwise, negatively, it's not proper if one eats something that's not offered to the deity, or say what's proper is, once we invite the deity, that somehow, to our best facility, whatever it is that we take as our food is first offered to the deity. And there's some details about what to do when you're traveling and this and that, but going to school or going to work, take prasad, that's food that's been first offered to the deity. That's ideal. That's ideal. A simple principle. Is there going to be a bhoga offering first, or just right after dressing arti?
There will be bhoga offering, then arti.
Okay.
You're almost done.
Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to do the timing here with what's going on there and what's going on here. Putting it in really simple terms, what the deity worship ministry recommends for household deity worship is whatever you do, it should be something that you do regularly. You can add on occasion for festivals or weekends or something, but there should be some fixed, as far as possible regulated, to meaning at a specific time of the day. There's always fluctuation because of circumstances, but as far as possible, fixing your schedule every day in terms of the deity worship, meaning if you know that you have a certain service to do for the deity, you're going to organize your life around that. At that time, that's when our family does our Mangalarti, and so we organize our activities of work and kitchen and children in school and around. This is the time we're going to have. So you regulate your life centered around the deity. And then the next day it's the same thing, and the next day it's the same thing. So regulation, mode of goodness becomes promoted. Just by that. That's good. Mode of goodness is good. And mode of goodness connected to the form of the deity, that's better than good. It's transcendental. Many homes, parents or children are both like kirtan. Connect the kirtan activity again for the deity, for the deity's pleasure. It's just centering life around the form of Krishna. That's good, especially for householders. There's other parts in the Bhagavatam where Prabhupada says other things, but I'll say one of them. The bodily conception of life is best connected to the form of the deity. Our body is material. The soul is not, but the body is material. And attraction for enjoyment on the platform of the body is natural for embodied souls. To connect that sense of enjoyment on the bodily platform and identity on the bodily platform, connected to deity worship especially, helps to elevate the householder from the bodily identification platform to the spiritual identification platform. It's one of the benefits, or one of the pluses to be derived from deity worship, and thus, as the purport begins, it's especially recommended for householders. Many things to say about deity worship, but I think I'm going to pause and just see if there's any discussion on the deity worship topic. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So, you mentioned that we should have the deities not like in a separate room or anything, but where we...
That shouldn't. It's ideal. I was careful.
Yeah, ideal. So, at home, the women are not clean some part of the month. So how does it work out in the place where it's like a common place? How does it work out to have a deities?
There's no problem. Just if the deity is there in a common, just like a temple, women can come and see the deity in the temple. They may not be worshipping and dressing and bathing and performing arti for the deity. Okay?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Maharaj, you talked about the ministry for deity worship.
Yeah.
I think you also mentioned the link to find that on the website. What was it?
ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry.
Oh,
ISKCON Deity Worship Ministry. I mean, that's not the. There's a shorter version, but you put that in your Google search, and it's the first thing that comes up.
okay.
Try it right now if you want. Yes.
What's our deity's name?
I don't know. You want to name the deity? You want me to name the deity, or you want to name the deity?
I want you to name the deities.
Okay. Can we do that later?
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I heard that there's like a real problem having Radha Krishna deities because you can't manage them.
You
Is
can't
that
manage
true?
them?
He's saying that having Radha Krishna deities is probably you need to have higher standards.
Yeah, you have to have higher standard. Therefore, Gornitai is recommended. But some people like Radha Krishna worship, so they have to be prepared for a higher standard. Are you ready?
Serious?
Are you attracted? Yeah. So that means the gap between where you are and being prepared. Cultivate, work on it. Anything else? Yeah?
So, based on your suggestion, should we try to invite the minister of deity worship to show or demonstrate or give a workshop session on the
Deity worship
Deity
in the
worship.
home? Deity
I
worship
think
in the
that
home
would be very-
specifically?
Mhm.
Has he been here to Boston?
5 years.
5 years
For
ago.
5 years. But he also conducts the seminar in New Vrindavan
Yeah.
every year. So once in a year. But we are planning to invite him. That time we will have all the sessions. We have invited him, but his timings are not matching. So we are not able to work on the times.
The seminar that's conducted in New Vrindavan isn't only, or isn't every time, deity worship in the home. For example, there was a seminar, and it might have been in Florida, on turban making, specialized features of deity worship. But, and I don't know if he was the one that conducted it. It was probably he organized it, but someone else did the demonstration part, the instruction part.
Two devotees came from Mayapur. They had come. But of course it was organized by them.
If you plan it, I imagine you can do a variety of things once he's here. It's just the scheduling of times that match. But if there are ideas from the congregation, something in particular, I'm sure he'd be happy to, if there's an audience that want to learn some principles. I mean, they have a seminar in Mayapur that takes 4 months. 4 months. And it's an all-day program every day. At least, I think it's 6 days of the week. It's like college. With no breaks. Full class load. Course load. And only one of them is, as far as I can recall, one of them is the worship of the deity The first one is Brahminical a whole month of Brahminical standards, a whole month of cooking for the deity, a whole month of how to do the rituals and procedures like the yajna that you just saw, and then a whole month on worship of the deity. So when the students graduate, they're populating planet Earth with ISKCON centers and otherwise with really qualified people. And then they can maintain the standard in their local community. Not easy to find somebody that can go for 4 months and just do that. But those that have the centers that have done that, it's really helpful, because then there's somebody that really knows. Anyway, if you ask him to, in addition to, evaluate and help to make a plan for the standards of the temple deity worship, if there's interest, genuine interest, not just people say and then they don't show up or something, in particular areas, I'm sure he'll help. He'll commit. That's what he wants to do. Promote quality deity worship.
Deity!
The offering's done already?
Yes.
Really?
While we were talking and we were offering.
Wow, that was quick.